Hi, this is Don Schaefer, and I'm back with you once again. I've got another lesson with you that I believe is very, very important. And the title of this lesson this week is going to be Your Life is Predictable. I know we've been talking about creating your future and talking about the fact that, if we are worried about our future and concerned about our future, we should create our future. And that's where in life, we need to realize that we were created with a purpose in mind, and there's been a lot of promises given to us, and it's up to us to go after them. And that's where in life we need to choose life. We need to choose to live, and we need to allow ourselves to be developed in different ways. And so many times people don't realize everything that's inside of them, all the possibilities of life. I know last week we talked about it. We talked about how we needed to master our life. We need to take control of our life. We need to take accountability for who we are and be able to develop ourselves and allow ourselves to grow with a great understanding. We need to realize that life and death and everything about us, it's in our control. And that our Creator created us to give glory, which is basically fulfilling the purpose that we were designed to do here in life. And that's where this week I'm hoping to add a whole bunch more to this and be able to encourage you in great ways to seek after the potential, the dreams, the ideas in all areas pertaining to life that has been given to you. So with that, I'm going to get right into it. I know this week, like I say, Your Life is Predictable. That's the title of it. And this is the Creating Your Future series that I am teaching right now. And I pulled out a scripture in Galatians. Chapter 6, verse 7, very familiar one. It says, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he shall also reap." And that's a powerful scripture because it says a lot. It says that whatever we put into life, that's what we're going to reap in life. So if we want greatness, we want to fulfill our life, we need to sow into it and allow it to grow in our life. And we're going to continue on in a series to help you do just that. And I pulled a little quote here by Pierre Chardin, and it is our duty as men and women to proceed as though the limits to our abilities do not exist. Yeah, we need to proceed like there is no limits to the abilities we have. And that's the duty basically we have so many times. I know last week we talked about how a lot of times what happens in life, we're driving around with the brakes on. We're putting the brake on and we really can't go anyplace because we've allowed ourselves to be driving around with the emergency brake on. Therefore, we need to pull that off, and we need to allow our life to be in a place where it can accelerate. And a lot of these ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you are ideas that will help you to accelerate your life and become the person that you were designed to be. Well, this week, the first point I have here is what are others doing differently than you? Everything the same, but some find success and others do not. Some work on skills and the process, and some do not. See, that's where in life, I know myself, I always ask, if other people are doing it, why can't I do it? Why can't I reach out and become what they are? See, what I need to do is find out just exactly what they are doing, be able to get into their life a little bit. And it's interesting in this day and age, we have so many biographies and books and people talking about their lives all over the place. So if a person really wants to be successful, you need to go and find a person who is doing exactly what you want to succeed in and find out what they're thinking and what they are doing. And, a lot of times people, they feel like they got to go to school, they got to learn about a lot of stuff in life. Well, if you can find the individual who's already done that and sit down and talk with him. For myself personally, I place a lot of things into my life. I'm constantly listening to audio tapes. I'm reading books. I'm hearing people talk about areas that they've succeeded in, because I realize that inside of us, we are complex and we are a computer system. I believe God has given us the hardware. We're born into this world with the hardware, but we have to put the software in. We have to be programmed to be able to succeed in life and allow ourselves to be programmed in different areas. And that's where if someone is successful in a certain area, I need to find the program. I need to find the process that they've went through, how they perceive things. I know one individual that was in sales, very successful. The other guys had the same product, but they weren't successful. So after a period of time, one of the guys says, you know what? I'm going to sit down with this guy that's successful, try to figure out what in the world's he doing there. And so he sat down with him and he talked to him. He said, when I come to sell a product, I come with a thought in mind. I'm going to find out what their needs are. I'm going to talk to them about their needs and different parts of their life. And so when it comes time for the product, I don't sit there and have to badger them to buy this product. They already can see the fact that I care about them. And therefore, they're going to want to have something that's going to better in life, and they're going to be able to trust me. And in life, I find that. I remember a gentleman that I placed a lot of time with, Zig Ziglar, through the years, and he always had the statement saying, you can have everything you've always wanted in life if you help another people get what they want. And getting into a place in life where you realize that it isn't just about you, but it's helping other people achieve what they want in life, and life has a way of paying you back, and you receive the areas of life that you might want in life. And that's why I want to encourage you that, if you are wanting to be successful, you just need to find out what other people are doing that's different than you, and try to figure out how you can step into their process. The next point I had is there are reasons for success and failure in all areas. There are rules for success in all areas, and you must know them and follow them. And that's where it's so true. It's so true that there are reasons. There are laws. Our Creator has developed laws, and our world is based on principles and laws. And that's where there is a reason for everything in our life. So when people fail, to be successful in life, you have to realize that you're really not a failure. If something doesn't go right, that doesn't make you a failure. You're only a failure if you don't learn by it and try to improve on it. I know myself, when something doesn't work right, I stop and I say, you know what, I better figure this out, because I know the principle and the process, there's nothing wrong with that. The only element that can be have issues is me. So if I'm to be successful, I am to be accountable and responsible for my life. So when things don't work out right, I don't blame, I don't make excuses, I don't do none of that. I try to find out what it is that I have done wrong. What is it that I can change to be successful in whatever area it might be? There's a quote here I have from Aristotle. It says, there is a reason for everything that happens, whether we know the law or principle behind it or not. That says it in a nutshell. There's reasons why things happen in life. There's reasons. I remember way back in the 1980s, mid-80s, when the Chicago Bears took the Super Bowl and Mike Ditka was the coach, and they were very successful. Great. Some people say that was the greatest team. I don't know, but they were very successful. And I remember there's one little clip here where Mike Ditka talked about this. And he said he was at the game, very successful and everything, and he was leaving the field, and one of the fans yells out, hey Ditka, boy, are you lucky. And he stopped. He said, I stopped dead in my tracks, and he walked right back to that individual. And he says, you know what? He says, this is not luck at all. This is a lot of hard work that is finally paying off. It's not about luck. And in life, a lot of times people believe that, some people are just lucky. They're just more fortunate than me. They're just luckier than me. No, there's principles. There's areas that they have figured out and that they are following and that they're doing. And if I don't have that in my life, I need to find out what the principles are and learn how to follow them. And that's where in life I will receive the benefits and everything that is involved in those principles. The Bible tells us that God, is no respecter of individuals. He doesn't say, I'm going to create this group of people and I'm going to give them all this and that. But he says he's no respecter. He has laid out the principles and laid out the laws and everything that governs and pertains to life. And if we follow them, we can be successful. It's up to us. That's where it's interesting. That's where in life, a lot of times, we need people to speak the principles into our life so that we can learn and that we can be successful. But I'm going to go on to the next point. Next point is disciplining yourself to do the same thing over and over to get the results you want. Ooh, this is a tough one. This is where your success becomes predictable. Discipline of doing things right. And that's where, we need to discipline ourselves. And when we learn areas in our life, I know like I've mentioned many times before, I've taught a class called Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. And it's all about, finding out the areas of life that you need to do and change your habits so that you're doing them. And you discipline yourself to the point where you do it over and you do it over and you do it over. And finally what happens is success and areas of life come your way. And that's where you can get the results. But a lot of times it takes a lot of discipline. It is not easy. Anything worthwhile in life is not easy. I live by the quote that if I do what others are not doing in my life now, someday I will be doing what others cannot do. And I'm going to push the limit. I'm going to allow myself to grow in these areas because I want to achieve something in life, and I want you to achieve things in life. That's where our life is completely predictable. It really is, by the things we do. People, a lot of times they come to me and they talk to me about issues that they might have or things that they might want and dreams they might have. And I always stop sometimes in the middle of all that. I say, what plan do you have to achieve that? What are you doing today to achieve that? Because if they're not doing anything, chances are 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, they still won't be doing anything. We have to get ourselves into a position where we can discipline ourselves to achieve areas of life. And myself, I'm trying to get myself in a mode that if it's something that's supposed to be good for me, if I can understand the principle in the area, I apply it to my life. And it's amazing sometimes when you start something, how fast, how much is 30 days? How much is 40 days? They say in 21 days, if you do something, and you don't quit for 21 days in a row, that after 21 days, you don't have to think about it. It's just what you do. And I know myself, I prove this to be true because I find things in my life that I want in life and I want to be able to do it in a certain way. And they're simple things sometimes, but I started doing them and now I have a hard time not doing them. A hard time not doing it. So I remember a story one time, Larry Bird, who's a basketball player, played with the Boston Celtics, and tremendous. He was just tremendous shooter, and they had him in a commercial. And in the commercial, he was supposed to take a long shot, but he was supposed to miss the shot. And in the commercial, they said that they had him shooting. It took him 9 shots to miss. And they said, well, you're supposed to miss. You have to take 9 shots. He said, but I've been programmed to make the shots. It is hard for me to shoot to miss on purpose. And that's where our life needs to get ourselves to that point. I've got another quote here. It says, if you do what other successful people do, nothing can stop you from eventually getting the same results they do. Now that makes sense. If you do the same thing. It says, and if you do not do what they do, nothing can help you. It's interesting because that's the way it is in life. If we don't do what we need to do, there's nothing that's going to help us. We have to be able to discipline ourselves to get the results that are necessary in life. Next point, willingness to take risk in pursuit of your dreams puts you on the side of angels. Willingness to take risks in pursuit of your dreams puts you on the side of angels. You will increase all probabilities in your life. And this is where you can accelerate your pursuit. And this is all about creating your future and not about luck. This is an interesting piece here because when we get ourselves to a point, a lot of people just do not want to take a risk. So therefore, they play it safe. And so many people are going to play it safe until the last day of their life. And get up before their maker and say, you created a great product and you put a lot of potential in me and I played it safe. What is the maker going to say? What is our creator going to say to us? I didn't want you to play it safe. I wanted you to take some risk and realize that life is about risk. Life is about stepping out. And it's interesting to note because we talked about putting ourselves on the side of angels because I believe that because the Bible talks about there's a certain excitement. And a lot of times and a lot of beliefs say that when one person comes to God who understands who God is, that the angels in heaven, they get all excited about that. But I like to put a little different twist on that. When one person understands the principles, when one person understands their purpose in life, and what they're to do and what they are to become. I believe there's a party going on. And that's the period of time where the angels get involved. That's where God gets involved, because he's got someone that's going after something. Someone who's willing to take the risk and become something in life. Someone who is not just going to sit back and allow life to go by, but it's going to live every day. Someone who is believing in life, in the abundance of life that he came to give us. And the angels, I know myself personally, just going after certain things, it feels so good. And it seems like people get so excited and things seem to line up just the way they need to line up. See, God, I believe, is wanting us to do things, and once we get it, sometimes I question that. I tell people, I hope I got it. Because a lot of times in life, and you probably experienced that too, where you'll talk to people and you realize as you're talking to them, they just don't get it. And I myself, I'm saying, Lord, I hope I get it, because I want to reach an understanding so I can achieve everything that you've designed for me. And I'm wanting to help you do the same thing. Hopefully I can put some energy into you. Hopefully I can stir something, but we're going to continue on. Next point I got is, in taking control over every part of life and creating your future, you must leave nothing to chance. I'm going to read that again. In taking control over every part of life and creating your future, you must leave nothing to chance. Organizing your life so that probabilities are high to achieve your goals, you leave nothing to chance. You examine others and see what their pattern is. See, you don't want to leave anything to chance. I'm not going to sit back and just allow things to happen. I believe even in bad times, there are opportunities. And so many times, it's all about the preparation. We prepare ourselves so when opportunity comes along, we're prepared. There is nothing worse than flipping that around and opportunity comes, but we're not prepared. That's where we get ourselves into a place where we control the parts of our life. We don't leave anything to chance. I'm not going to let things just sit by. So, I'm not going to allow a bad day to be wasted. I'm going to try to find an opportunity to learn something by it, or maybe do something differently. I know our country right now is going through a period of time. It's going to change, probably, the way we see life and the way we live life. But it's going to change it for the good if we give it a chance. Because what it does, it gives us a different perspective. And that's where we don't allow anything go to chance. We keep our eyes open, we stay awake, and we look for the opportunities. But most of all, we prepare ourselves. We get ourselves with an understanding, realizing that there are principles and things, there are laws, rules, how everything is governed together. We learn these things. We develop a process for living. And a lot of times life is all about the process. I know myself in different areas and different ventures that I've been on. It's amazing because in the beginning, it's very difficult because you don't know the process. Even a new job, tough because you don't know the process. But once you learn the process, then it becomes easy and you can duplicate and you can multiply. You can do a lot of great things because you learn the process. All you have to do. And there's a certain faith that builds inside you because you learn the process. You understand the principles. You understand the laws. You understand what's expected. And you start doing these things. And all of a sudden, the process is there and you become comfortable and your life becomes more valuable. And the people you're around, you become more valuable to them because you have gotten a certain depth and understanding of the process of life and you're living it. Next point we have is start taking different steps starting today, and you will inevitably arrive at different places from where you are today. You are where you are because of the steps you have taken to get yourself there. The good news is that you can start taking different steps and change your life right now. That's where it is all about the steps we've been taking. Since we were born, we've been on a path, and schools, parents, people we've met, jobs we've worked, they've helped us with our steps. But if there's a dream in our life and there's an idea and something that excites us, I believe that God is trying to show us something and may possibly get us going in a different direction. And we need to start to realize there's steps out there and start walking in those steps. And a lot of times people say you take baby steps, a little step here, a little step there. But eventually what you're doing is you've got yourself on a completely different step. But it starts with the first step. and the second step and the third step. And it's an amazing thing. I know myself, things in my life, I've taken it little. A lot of times I didn't understand areas, a little leery about taking steps in different areas. But once you start taking those steps, you start to realize that, you know what, this has got a good feel to it. I see something in the future. You know, and it's all about creating our future. And I realize that I'm creating something here in the steps that I'm walking. And that's where I have to be persuaded in life. I'm hoping I'm helping people to persuade themselves right now, because you have to be persuaded to take the steps that are different than you're normally taking. And a lot of times we are not persuaded. And I know in life that success is not an accident. It isn't something that just happens. You know, our completion as far as fulfilling our dreams, it isn't someday that we're going to say, we just fell into it. All of a sudden one day there I was. You know, it was a good life. I just laid back. You know, I enjoyed myself. We took vacations and we had a good time. And all of a sudden one day, here I am. No, you know, I look at some of these head guys for companies and stuff. I mean, we used to have Pierce Manufacturing, and I remember Oshkosh Truck came in, and there was a guy named Bob Bonds, and he was the CEO over the company. And this guy here, he was a businessman. He ran meetings. We had meetings every day. We had to stay focused. Every day, I believe it was like 8:30 in the morning, he had meetings, and he had all the different people from different departments come to the meeting, and we stayed in control. He stayed in control of all areas of the company, and it was just like clockwork. But I don't believe that Bob Bonds, all of a sudden one day, he says, you know what, I was just working on a machine, and all of a sudden, you know, here I am, a CEO. No, I believe he had plans. I believe that he learned principles and developed himself to reach that point. And it's the same thing in our lives. You know, and we need to be persuaded to go after things. So much in life is about the comfort zone that we've found for ourselves. We found something comfortable in life. You know, I'm going to lay this out there. So many times we go through school. We get out of high school, and for some it's college, and we feel that we have learned everything that we need to learn. And so therefore, we can just coast through life because we don't have to really be on a learning mode anymore. And we get ourselves into a comfort zone. And all of a sudden, life is fleeting, and we realize all we could have done in life, but we never took the time because we found our comfort zone, and we got a mindset where we didn't have to learn anymore. Myself, I'm trying to work on this. And I'm trying to get myself into a place where I realize that life is all about learning, that it never stops. You know, if I get to be 80 years old, 90 years old, I pray to God that I am still learning, because that's the part of life that gives us everything that we need and can be in life. So we need to develop ourselves in a way where we can be persuaded that there are greater things in front of us, that we continue to live life to its fullest. Next point I have is being totally convinced that America is the land of opportunity. We talked a little bit about this last week, realizing all the possibilities we have. We must become believers, and because there's so much negativity around us that tries to slow us down, and we have to get ourselves into a position where we are convinced that our life is worth more than what it is today, that there is more value to be found in life, that there is more value that not only can we develop for ourselves, but we can develop for all of those that are in our life. Myself, I believe that an inheritance being passed down doesn't have to be in dollar bills. It can be in the things, the thought process that we have passed on. I'm trying to take time now with my family, with my grandchildren, taking time to talk to them about things of value, things that can help them to have the life of possibility, a life of growth, realizing that there's great potential in each and every one of them if it's handled in a good way. And that's where it's important to us to realize that we have to be convinced. You know, all of this has to be convincing to us. I pray myself that I am convinced that I can obtain things. There's so many times we hit roadblocks, we hit circumstances in our life, and we start to doubt. We say, you know, what's the use? You know, why don't you just live life and have a good time? I've got friends that, when they tell me what they're doing after retirement, I'm sitting there saying, whoo, I don't know. I couldn't find a whole lot of value in all that. It seems like, I remember we were down in Florida, and this one guy down in Florida said that he believes Florida is God's a waiting room, that it's a place where people get reach a certain age and go down to Florida before they pass on. It's just a waiting room. You know, I myself, I don't ever want to be in just a waiting room. I want to be in the productive part of life and allow my life to be something in life. And I want to be convinced of it. And I have a story. The guy's name was Ivan Sturginsky, and he lived in the Soviet Union before the wall came down. And when the wall came down, he wanted to come to America because he believed that in America, people could be successful. He believed in America that there was lots of opportunity and lots of potential for him in America. And so for several years, he was applying and applying and applying to come to America. And finally, he got his visa. He could come to America, and they flew him into New York City. And when he landed there, he didn't know one word of English. He didn't know any English at all, but he knew America was a great country, and he was excited about being there. And what he had done, he had gotten himself into the Russian part of the city. And in the Russian part of the city, he became a pizza delivery man because he spoke Russian, and this was the Russian part of the city, so he delivered pizzas for a year. But during that year, he got himself involved in learning courses on success, courses on business, all of this stuff. And in the process of learning this, he learned English to the degree by the end of the first year, he could understand English and speak it a little bit. So at that point, he got himself a job working for a printing company. And he worked his second year at this printing company, and it was successful. You know, he was selling products and stuff. He was a salesman in his company. So at the end of the second year, he decided to start his own business because he had been studying all these principles and applying all this and becoming a successful salesman. So he started his own business at the end of the second year. By the end of the third year, he was a printing broker and he had sold over $2 million worth of product, and it gave him $400,000 of income at the end of the third year. And I look at that is 36 months. So he went from a man who believed that there was great potential in America, who believed in the possibilities, believed in learning the principles, believed in developing himself, believed in learning the language, from a man in 36 months to having $400,000 in his bank account. I go to the gym sometimes. I talk to young people. And a lot of times I talk to people who do not like their jobs. And they say, you know, I work this job, but I can't stand it. And I always tell them, you know, it only takes a few months. You can have a different job. And I'm going to brag a little bit here because my son at one time, he was working the job, and he was working night shift, and he wanted to get on day shift. And so he decided to go to school. And he goes to the technical college, and he looks at the income, you know, of what people were making in different positions, and he decided to get into computer networking, and he signed up for it. I remember we were in a hot tub. We used to spend time in a hot tub, and he talked to me about this. He said the first time he went to the class, he had a hard time getting his ID in, and he was like in his early 20s. There were young people that were right fresh out of high school at that time. He said he felt like an idiot compared to these guys. But he's determined in his mind that that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to receive a degree and get himself into a position of that nature. So he decided that no matter what, he wasn't going to miss a single class. So this was a 2-year associate's degree. So for 2 years, he didn't miss a class. For 2 years, he went to every lecture, learned everything he could possibly learn in 2 years, and he graduated with honors from the technical college. I remember him with the gown and with the gold, ribbon or rope around his neck. He graduated with honors, and now he is working a position as a computer network person and an IT guy for companies, and he has, over 10 years of working there. But I say that, so when I talk to these guys at the gym, I say, in 24 months, if you can find something at a technical college that is something that feels good, that you feel that you could do well in, you could take these courses, and in 24 months, You can have a completely different career. And that's where it is in life. A lot of times we have to be convinced. So many times we are not. And therefore it causes issues and we don't go after the things we should go after. My last point is the right action, behavior, and strategies will make your life become predictable. You truly can live the life by design, and the results can be predictable. Sowing and reaping, you sow a bean, you reap beans. See, that's where you get out of life what you put in life. And your life can be predictable. If you learn the principles and you learn the steps that you need to take, you can predict the future. You can predict your destiny. You can create your destiny. And that's why I want to encourage you this week to realize that your life is predictable. Whatever you're doing right now, if it's working for you, great. If it's not working, you need to find out what other people are doing, learn a process, learn the principles, learn the laws behind it, and then your life truly can be predictable. Before I leave you, I'm going to leave you with a couple of exercises to work on, action exercises. Okay, number one, there's 5 of them. Number 1, study successful people and write down what actions that they are doing that you are not. So if you want to be successful in an area and you're not right now, find somebody is and find out what they're doing that possibly you are not. Number 2, what areas do you need to discipline yourself to do regularly? Okay, find out what is it that I need to do. Maybe it's reading, maybe it's writing, maybe it's exercise. I don't know what it might be, but find something and start disciplining yourself in that area. Number 3, what risks are you willing to take to achieve your dreams? How much are you willing to give? You know, the Bible says you got to count the costs. How much are you willing to give to achieve areas in your life? Okay, number 4, there are areas in your life that are out of control, and what needs to be done to get them in control. So looking at your life, saying, am I out of control in different areas, and what do I need to do to get them in control? Okay, number 5, what steps can you make today to change your destination in the future? What path do I need to take and change so that I can obtain the future that I'm going after? I want to thank you for being with me, and I want to close here in a little prayer. Lord, I pray, dear God, that our lives can be predictable. Lord, that we will have an understanding of where we're going. And I pray for great blessings upon each and every one of us, Lord, that we can allow your angels to get excited over us seeking after our purpose and fulfilling that which we've been designed to do. And I pray that we can be blessed until the next time we can get together. In your precious name, amen. I want to thank all of you and have yourself a wonderful week. Thank you so much.